Hey CLC parents, it's Pastor Rachel here with another Monday Minute. So we are continuing to talk all about the 5 different love languages and how those can relate to your children. We've talked about how most of the time it's not going to be the same for all your kids if you have multiple kids, and how most kids have a dominant one and then a secondary one. So we're going to quickly review what those are. They are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, which we're going to talk about today, and then receiving gifts, which we'll talk about next week. So if you have not watched the prior videos, I would encourage you to go back and watch those, because it's going to make a lot more sense if you watch this in sequence to be able to try to figure out which one your kid falls into, what bracket they fall into as far as love languages. And honestly, this can even transform your marriage. And I talked about that in prior videos, how Jason and I at the beginning, I thought I knew his love language. He thought he knew mine. We didn't know each other's. And so it just led to a lot of feeling like you're hitting your head against the wall when you're trying to show it, but we were just showing it in the wrong ways. So today we're talking all about acts of service. Now, I have one kiddo that falls into this category, and this is their secondary. So, someone that acts of service is their dominant love language. They are going to feel the most love when you are going out of your way and you perform a thoughtful service for them, or do a thoughtful action for them, something that they're not expecting to. That's even the better part of it, if you can do it when they're not expecting it. So some examples of that, some really good examples for that would be cooking a special meal or treat with them. My child, that this is their secondary, that's one of their favorite things to do, is to get in the kitchen with me and to help me cook. And why? Because they love that time together, but also, it's doing something special. I always make sure if we're cooking something, it's something that's their favorite thing. May not be mine or anyone else's in our family, but if it's their favorite, it's going to make it feel all the more special to them. Helping them maybe pick out an outfit for the day, helping them with their homework, with schoolwork. And for us, my child, that this is their secondary, honestly, they really don't probably need help with schoolwork. They're probably beyond what I know, the way they're being taught with some things, but just me offering it makes a big deal. It makes them realize that I care and that I'm going out of my way to want to show them, a service or do something special for them. So helping them with homework could be huge. Helping them clean their room. Helping them do an outdoor task that maybe they have to do, maybe something that's on their chore chart. You're really just thinking of them and what are different things that you can do that would make a big deal in their life. I know our daughter, her room is small, but I'll give you a quick story to kind of wrap up this concept of if you have a kiddo that acts of service is their dominant or their secondary. So she has a smaller room and she has a lot of things, and things are very important to her. And that's common when you have a child that comes out of foster care. So her room was like a hot mess. It was hard to even get to her closet to put away clothes. So I said to her, hey, let's go into your room together and let's figure this out. Let's work through this together. So I didn't go in and just get rid of everything that I felt like needed to be gone, because I knew she would feel like I invaded her privacy with that. But I knew she needed help. I knew she needed an active service, someone needed to come in and help her figure out this room. So we together went into her room and we went piece by piece, starting with the floor. Like, okay, where does this need to go? Could we donate this? Could we bless someone else with this? But at the end of it, even though it was kind of stressful and challenging for me because I view it a little differently on how I clean and how she cleans. But at the end of it, she gave me the biggest hug and she said, "Thank you so much, Mom, for helping me do this. I knew it needed done, but I wasn't sure how to even go about it." So again, that was a service that I provided for her. Even though her room's kind of her deal, it's her space, she likes it a certain way. I knew she was in over her head. So I kind of asked, "Hey, do you want my help with this?" And she gladly obliged. And we were able to tackle it and get it done. Now, I know for me personally, acts of service is actually my number one love language. And I think I've mentioned this in a couple of the other videos. If someone does a dish for me, if someone picks up their towel off the bathroom floor, and our kids are getting older, they're getting to those upper elementary, preteen, teenage years where they don't always think to do those things. So if they do, it's like they could have given me a check for $1 million because they checked that box for me. For me, acts of service is the number one thing as far as my love languages is. I can remember people over the years that have done different things for me where they've said, one time I had someone that it was super busy here at the church. It was one of our kids' birthdays coming up, and it was just a lot on my plate at that time. And someone said, "Hey, let me come over and help you clean." And they clean houses for, people professionally, like they love to clean. They're like, "Let me just come over and I want to do this for you." I will never forget that act of service because for me, it was massive. I'd just gotten off of doing VBS. We had to have a birthday party for our son who VBS hit in the middle of it. But that simple act of kindness that person did for me, I will never forget the clean house that I walked into because they were so sweet and came in and did that. Because a lot of times I don't have time to deep clean like I probably should. So never forget, it could be something very small. It could, and sometimes you have to ask, like, I would have never asked that person, "Hey, can you come and help me clean up my house? It looks like a disaster and I have to have a birthday party there in, a day and a half." But they offered and I was like, "Sure, if you want to." And that meant the world to me. I know even with my husband, when he thinks of those little things like loading a dishwasher, unloading a dishwasher, doing a load of laundry that he sees sitting there, those things mean a lot. So again, with your kids, I gave you some examples that you can do. And if you have a kiddo that acts of service is their number one or even their number two, if they've had a rough day, sometimes the best thing that you can do is, "What can I do to help you today?" You ask the question to them, "What can I do to help you today?" And most of the time you'll be surprised they're going to give you an answer. And sometimes it's like, "Hey, can you just sit with me?" Sometimes it's like, "Hey, can we talk through this?" Or, "Hey, can we do this activity together?" You may be surprised with some of the answers that you get, but I've learned with, our daughter where this is her number one or her number two, I'm sorry. It's her secondary. Sometimes when she comes in the door and I can tell it's been a really rough day, just asking, "Hey, what can I help you with today?" That opens the door to conversations, to maybe frustrations, things that could be going on. So that is going to wrap up acts of service, which is number 4 on our list. Next week, we're going to be doing receiving gifts, which is number 5. And then we would have covered all 5 love languages. Hopefully by this time you figured out where your kids are, what is their dominant, what is their secondary. Maybe you figured out your own or your spouse's, and this is helping you in your family's lives. We would love to hear testimonies of maybe where that's happened for you and your family. through learning these love languages. But we're praying for you. We hope you're having a fantastic week, and I will see you next Monday for the next Monday Minute.